war ended. So after they got stability in the city and the Jordanian army withdrew, they destroyed it, flattened it up, because they wanted to make it a Jewish area. Just as simple as that. Okay? So it was, and it's the old city of Jerusalem. So this is just very easy. You come with bulldozers, you do it, and it's done. Now, in our life today, we also have several examples of contemporary displacement. And the contemporary displacement has several forms, not only in the West Bank and Gaza, especially now the West Bank actually. It's in both places, in the West Bank and Gaza, and in areas where Israel has its sovereignty, right? Because there are three kinds of areas that Israel controls. There is here. This is where people. Everybody can see this map, yeah?
Yeah.
It's okay. So this is Israel, and this is the West Bank and Gaza. This was controlled again in 1948. This was controlled in 1967. Here, Israeli law is applicable, and the Palestinians who live here mainly have a citizenship. Here, the Palestinians have no citizenship at all, and they are under military law. So we have two different kinds of laws applying here, applying in both cases. So in both cases, we can see whether in the places where Israel has its sovereignty, or in places where Israel is recognized as an occupying power, it's displacing people. The policies that it's using, home demolition, and you can also revise this by going to reports of human rights organizations, Israeli and Palestinian human rights organization, like the ICAD, the Israeli Committee Against Home Demolition in Israel. There's a big scale of home demolition. There's even village demolition. Now, there is a village in Al-Naqab desert in the south. Now we're talking about Palestinians who have Israeli citizenship, supposedly equal, right? Supposedly equal, because they have citizenship, but they're not equal at all, not even in law. There are unrecognized villages in the Naqab desert that Israel comes and flattens up totally. Why? Well, because by law, they did not give them the status of being a recognized village. So because they are unrecognized, they go and destroy them. Although the villages actually existed before the state was created. And the famous example is now Al-Araqib. It has been demolished recently for like 12 times, and they go back and they build small, tents or very simple constructions in order to live again, and they destroy it again, and then, so there's this game now between, it's not a funny game, but it is in a way a game between the population there and the government. The government destroys, the population builds, with solidarity, of course, from Palestinian, Israeli, international organizations. They go, they help them to rebuild, and then they destroy again. So there is this happening all the time, and it happens in many other places. There's, for example, another example is the family reunification issue. This is an issue that rose in 2003. You used to be able to, if you marry somebody, to have a family reunification back into Israel. Today, if you marry somebody, so they introduced a law. If you marry somebody from the West Bank or Gaza, if you marry somebody from Gaza, you cannot invite them to live where you are. If you marry somebody from the West Bank, you can only invite them to live if they are above a certain age, and only if they get a state security permit, which is very difficult also to get. So, and if you marry somebody from outside many of the Arab countries, also it's impossible to have family unification. In this case, if you decide to marry somebody from not from Palestine, not from your city, basically, that you have to leave. And if you come from Jerusalem, especially Jerusalem in this case, because the Jerusalemites, they don't have a citizenship, they only have a residency. If you come from Jerusalem and you go outside Jerusalem, you will actually lose your residency. Because we have been given, the Jerusalemites were given a residency status that you can lose if you're not residing anymore. So they also built this kind of legal construction that makes you illegal. Several things that make it illegal for you to bring somebody here, and if you go and live outside, then you are illegal again, you cannot go back. There is this whole thing of legality in Israel. It's actually amazing how they make sure to use this legality. But again, these laws, so when I talk about law and legality, I'm talking about Israeli law and Israeli legality. It doesn't mean that this is legal in international law. The instruments that I introduced before basically make all the policies that I have talked about now illegal. And you have to go, I mean, I would suggest that you would go to both Palestinian-Israeli international human rights organizations. This is where you find the consensus about things. I need to go further, but I will also mention that this thing of the control of population, it also includes the whole settlements thing, which is also illegal. A country, an occupying power, is not allowed to transfer its own population into the occupied territory, which Israel does by building settlements, which probably you hear a lot in the media now. Palestinians saying, we're not going to negotiate, the Palestinian PLO, we're not going to negotiate until you stop the settlements, because the settlements are simply illegal, and because they change the facts on the ground. And then Obama promising that he will make pressure, and then he doesn't make pressure because of other political issues. But these settlements that are being built on also, again, Palestinian land, and they do affect individuals. They take the lands of people, and they do displace people, individuals. And there is this whole thing about residency withdrawals both in Jerusalem and in the West Bank. And there is a law that has been also a military order, because I had to tell you briefly that there in the West Bank, in the occupied territory, there is military orders, there is military law. So the law is not the same as you know it here. There are commanders who make the law and who execute the law. The judge is a military commander. The prosecutor is another military commander. And the orders are military orders. The law is military orders. So there's a new military order, not very new actually, last year, that if you are from Gaza and you're living in the West Bank and you don't have an Israeli permit to live in the West Bank, which is actually under the Palestinian Authority. I mean, the people, the population is under the Palestinian Authority. But still, it's not independent. It's still under Israeli control. So if you don't have an Israeli permit to live in the West Bank, Israel has the right to deport you into Gaza, right? So there is this pattern that Israel has of deporting people from what it considers to be its sovereign areas, Israel in general, into the West Bank. If they can deport you from Israel to the West Bank, this is a good game, because you have less rights in the West Bank. If they manage to deport you from the West Bank to Gaza, this is also good. If they manage to deport you all outside the whole border, this is even wonderful. Okay, so this is the kind of situation we have. Deportation and land acquisition order to build settlements. And again, if you think about the crazy logic behind it, it's to build a Jewish state. And they keep saying it in front of everybody. You have to recognize us as, who heard this?
As a Jewish state.
As a Jewish state. And they go in the media and they go in front, you have to recognize us as a Jewish state. نعم. يعني إنه شو? What do you mean, recognize us as a Jewish state? Like, you want me to say, to accept that I have no entitlement in my own land? And why do I do that? Am I crazy or something? this is, you know, like even what they are being asking people to do politically has no, and who does this? Do we recognize England as an English state, or the United Kingdom as an English state, or